I think the nose to tail movement opens a pathway for people to cook responsibly and sustainably. We opened Manteca in Shoreditch in London. As the chef and co-founder, I work with the senior team in more of a support role and help drive the restaurant more creatively. The plan was to always use whole animals. It gives us better control over sourcing, gives us the best quality and price that we can then pass back on to the customer. We make everything from our creme fraiche to our pasta, our whole animal boucherie, and all of the salumi. If we're talking about 100 years ago, nose to tail was the only way of eating. Hi, I'm Chris Leach, the chef and co-founder of Manteca. We're here in Shoreditch. We've got a busy day ahead of us, so we're going to get started. It's about 8 AM now. We're going to catch up with Jake and just go through today's menu. How are we looking?
Quite a few big tables in. Tonight is looking as it always is.
Nice.
But that's looking good.
We've got a whole pig that came today. We're going to break that down now. We've got this pig in this morning. Will last us a couple of days. We'll go for about 2.5 whole pigs a week. For ease of delivery for the drivers, we get this cut into 6 parts. We're going to go and break down this pig upstairs. We'll start this for the rest of the day. This is our whole Duroc saddleback cross. We buy direct from farms or butchers we have very close relationships with. We know everything we need to know about the animal. I'm going to break down the shoulder and the butchery team are going to break down the rest of the animal now. We will take the copper muscle, which is a collection of muscles that will lead into the loin, which we'll cure downstairs. We'll salt that for 3 weeks. So we just saw straight through here, then cut down, also cut off the top. That will go to be braised with the head. We will begin by removing the pork skin. So when I'm taking off the skin, I'm trying to just take it off in one big piece without cutting into the flesh. And then some of it we will dry out in a dehydrator that we will serve with a ragu, which we'll make from the rest of the cooked pig skin. When you buy whole animals, it's very easy to serve chops and pork bellies and nice easy cuts like that. What you also are left with is a lot of skin, a lot of fat, and a lot of other connective tissues that aren't as easy to make use out of. Landing on the pig skin ragu as a dish to use up the skin was something that was, I think, it really defined what we do as a restaurant, which is using every part that we can. Now, when I'm going to separate the shoulder blade and the copper muscle, finding the natural seams, you can do most of it with your fingers and then using the knife just to break away any connective tissue. You're staying as close to the bone as you can. And the way we cure our copper muscle is to leave a nice big chunk of fat on, which is just at the end here. The fat cures very nicely and it gives the particular cut a really nice mix of textures. When it comes to salumi, you want a good mix of fat and lean, but you do always have to be a little bit careful when having too much fat because you can get higher levels of rancidity. The copper muscle, it cures very evenly. It's off the bone. We stuff it inside a beef bung, which is part of the cow's intestines. It protects it as it's curing. Generally about 3 months it takes for it to be on the menu. And then once it's off the bone, we will salt it to around 2.7% of salt to the weight of muscle. So in this case is 3,507 grams. That's our target weight. And then I'm gonna weigh out each of these. 96 grams of pure sea salt. The more accurate we are with our spicing, the more consistent the recipe is. So this is ground nutmeg. They work really well with the pork. Same amount of ground bay leaf, freshly ground black pepper to this as well. I'm just gonna put the cure all over. We're gonna rub it all in and then we're gonna vacuum seal it in the cure. When you're buying a whole pig, you would really wanna be looking for a good amount of fat coverage. The more fat, the better for curing. So now we're gonna take this down, vacuum seal it, so it can go to be cured for the next few weeks. So it's 9:30 now. We're going to do a team briefing, go through the menu for the day, deciding what pastas are going to be on, looking at stock counts from the day before, making sure everybody knows what they're going to be prepping for the day. Because we work with whole animals, we make a lot of different slow cooks and ragus, which will ultimately change day by day.
Briefing, please. Okay, let's do this. So we've got 100 booked in for lunch. We've got 300 tonight, so we'll be looking at probably 320, 330 as per usual. 2 lunch parties and 2 evening ones, which we'll get into afterwards. Then at 1:30, we're doing all 3 meats for 18 people.
We're going to do a potato mix today for a new dish, scarpignac, which we're going to serve with possibly a ragu. So we'll try that today.
Cool, thank you.
So with the menu locked in, we're going to go and check on the salumi in the salumeria downstairs. So this is our salumeria. We call it salumeria because salumi is the Italian term for what's known as charcuterie. The general process of salumi making in Italy and the way the butchery is done are all about elongating the muscles. Okay, so I've got this copper that's going to be on the menu today. This has been curing for 4 months. There is a system to how things move around. For example, here are all of the coppers that stay around here, and they kind of move around. By the time they're at this stage, they are ready. Everything that comes in is given a code, so we know the weight it is when it goes in. We monitor the pH before it goes in, so we want our acidity levels to be right on each product. We will monitor it until the weight drops by about 30 to 35%. The fat won't lose any weight, but the lean muscle mass will. With the copper muscle we've just cured, those 3 weeks in salt will draw out a lot of moisture from the copper, from the muscle. Our setup in here is to essentially replicate the caves and curing cellars in Italy. We have a humidifier and a dehumidifier so that the relative humidity in here is at around 70, 72, 73%, and the temperature hovers at around 10 degrees. Those conditions allow the meat to very gently dry out. If the temperature was too high, it would take too long for the cure to reach the middle. We would not end up with a very desirable product. So just to compare 2 pieces, this has been in here for a week, so that's very, very fresh. This has got a long way to go. This has been in here for 3 months, and you can see there's much less give on it. We could probably take that out and slice it. When they are ready and they've lost the desired amount of weight, we'll take off all of the protective layers, cut off all the string, then we'll re-vacuum seal it so that the cure is allowed to fully equalize all the way through. So we're going to go upstairs and check on the next stages of the pigskin ragu. So we've got our sofrito of onion, carrot, celery, fennel and garlic that's been cooking down for a couple of hours. We cook the sofrito for a long time, nice and slowly, really cook out the vegetables and bring out all of the natural oils in them. Then we will add white wine, reduce that. We've added to this a spice mix of cayenne pepper, black pepper, fennel seed, star anise and chili flakes. There's a lot of fat and richness to this, and the acidity from the wine and tomatoes helps cut through and balance this really, really nicely. So we're going to add now some crushed whole tomatoes. Then we're going to cook this down just a little bit and add all of the cooked pig skin. Skins were cooked 2 nights ago. They were scraped and prepared yesterday, minced this morning, and now all of this will come together to complete the dish today. So the next step of this process is adding the cooked pig skin to the base here. We'll put it back on the stove. We'll cook that now for probably a couple of hours. All those flavors and all that fat and skin all start to make friends. And that is the main protein in this. It's very rich and sticky. It's probably the dish that defines what we do at the restaurant the most, using up slightly more gnarly bits that don't necessarily have a place all over the menu. So now we're gonna fry some pig skins to serve with the dish. So now we've got these dried pig skins. We've dried them out fully since they've been cooked. And we're essentially gonna rehydrate them in the fryer, so this will nearly double in size. So essentially this is a chicharron. We use this as a vehicle for basically eating the ragu with. Nice and big. Just gonna season it with a little bit of salt. The chili fennel spice mix, we just give it a little dust. And we'll serve this on top of the pig skin. There'll be some fresh parmesan on it. They'll snap it, break it, eat it. So now the pig skin ragu is ready, we're gonna go and work on a couple of new dishes with some pasta. This is the section where we roll and make all of our pastas for the day. These are some of the ones that we've got here. We've got lumache, which means snails. This is the strozzopreti that we sometimes serve with our brown crab cacio e pepe. This is campanelli, and we serve this with a duck ragu, malaredis, which we serve with a pork and fennel ragu. So the reason we'll choose different shapes for different ragus is how they work. This has got lots of little ridges in. It catches the sauce really well, so we'll serve this with a pork and fennel ragu. I'm working on a new dish at the moment, which is going to be a filled pasta. And so this is like a classic pasta dough, essentially 1 egg for every 100 grams of pasta. When you see these air pockets here, that's what you want to see. The dough was made yesterday, has had a really nice rest. The protein allows it to be worked quite well and works with the gluten, which is in the dough as well. So I'm going to roll this out now. We use a machine rather than by hand because it is a lot more effective for us to do 400 covers in a day. So it goes through these steel rollers and starts to get quite thin. Dust it along the way. We're going to fold and we'll be trapping lots of air in between each pasta. This is called laminating. And this will give us a really nice mouthfeel and texture when we come to eat the pasta. If it's too thick, it will be undercooked in parts, and that's not what we want. We're going to fill it with a potato filling, and we'll serve it with a meat ragu. This is our potato filling. I'm going to put little dots of this here, and then we're going to fold the pasta over, bring them together to create a nice little shape, which is called scarpignon, and that's from the north of Italy. And I'm just pushing any excess air out as I keep the shape. And then I'm going to use a cutter, which is a little brass fluted cutter. And I'm going to make these cuts. Got these, we're going to just squeeze out the air, put a little dimple in them. What I love about making pasta is the craft. I've always loved making things with my hands. So we have tried this filling before with a duck ragu, but with a more classic ravioli shape. But I think it's going to present a little bit better. It's hopefully going to eat a bit better. And I think with the beef ragu, it's going to be delicious. So let's go and try these. I'm going to try this with a beef shin ragu with a little bit of butter. And then I will cook these. And when you're on this section, you're cooking hundreds of portions of pasta a night. You kind of have a sixth sense for it after a little while. We use the pasta water. It's a pretty essential ingredient in all of our pastas. It's got a nice amount of starch in it. It just helps sauces loosen up a little bit. We couldn't cook the amount of pasta we do if we didn't have a setup like this. It's really, really important to taste as you go. So the ragu has been finished, it's perfect, but we'll just give it a little kiss of sherry vinegar. It just needs a little extra bit of acidity just to help lift and elevate the whole dish. We're kind of thinking about a lot of things, how this will work for us in a busy service, how we can manage the prep for 300 covers in an evening. We need to think about how it looks, how it tastes, and how we can plate it. Ultimately, the test of this will be how it all eats together. Jake, let's try this.
Looks great.
This is pretty good.
I think it's lovely.
Jake keeps me in check and won't let me do stupid things like put really difficult things on the menu, so I definitely need Jake steers the ship. I rock it sometimes. So it's noon. We need to get set for service. So I'm going to see you in a bit. So now I'm doing the pass. That's just calling tickets and managing the tables throughout service. Checks come in. I'll let the team know what's on order, and then we'll just send them as they come through. So when I ring the bell, that is for service, and somebody will come and take these dishes to the table. Away table 14, pork plate and a cabbage salad. It can be quite a hectic pass to manage. There is a lot going on, so we have to be very organised on here. We try and get all starters out within 20 minutes, and then similar thing with pasta, which allows us a bit more time for longer cooked proteins like steaks and large protein cuts. Away. You're coming up on that now, yeah? Yeah. So when a check's called away, we'll keep it on the pass so we know what's on order. We'll move it into an away section so the team know exactly what's going on and where they're at with the orders. Send this to 1-4, cacio e pepe, and then this hogget collar to 6-2. When we've completed a check, we will spike it here. So we keep all of the check from the last hour so we know what's going on. We'll put a note on it here so we know it comes from our section. Check on focaccia, mussels, follow ribeye, potatoes, farm salad. There's a lot of shouting during service. It could be quite loud in the evenings as well. Lunch service is 3 hours. We finish at 3-ish, and then we reopen at 5:30, and then that will be a big 5-hour service. Okay, last table's in. We're about to get ready for a busy dinner service. Hope you've got a sense of what it's like to be a chef at Manteca, but you've got to go now, so thank you. Bye-bye.